Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here, and this is kind of like a borderline classics. I reviewed it before, but the beer's only like 7 years old, so it can't really be a classic. But I saw it. It's been forever since I've had it. Hudson Valley Brewing. It is their pillow hat. I think the label has stayed pretty much the same from when it was originally reviewed back in 2017. What is this? This is a low ABV, 4% alcohol by volume, little IPA, little hazy jam. Little IPA is what they call it, and, you know, it's what Hudson Valley does as far as labeling goes. I've always really dug their labels, always really dug their beers. I just don't get out that way. Honestly, do not get out that way that often anymore. And honestly, if I'm going out that way, I'm actually going way further past them now, so it's kind of like a traveling thing, yada, yada, yada. I can complain more. Thing is, we see this on a shelf by me. Problem is, it's usually quite pricey. $14 for this 4-pack, so I was feeling it a little bit. It's my birthday weekend. Figured, treat yourself, son. Anyway, so I dig on the can. As far as the beer goes, I mean, it looks the part of an itty-bitty hazy IPA. Maybe a little darker than I'd love it to be, but it has that nice kind of turbid density that you want from a nice kind of hazy. White as white could be head, little soapy edges, little kind of soft, pillowy pillow hat with that little kind of soapy edge to it. Yeah, looks the part. You'll have to excuse me glancing upward during this review. I'm watching NFL playoffs. My team's playing, and there's a monitor right above me with it on. So, yeah, I'm half here, but I'm still here. Anyway, let's get nose. Citrus. Really is just citrus. Not really getting a ton of... actually, I'm going to walk that back a little bit. Hop-wise, it's just citrus for me. I'm actually getting a nice grain on this, oddly enough. Usually don't see that a lot with lower or hazies in general. Low ABV beers, you can have that a little bit more. You tend to get a little bit of a grainy vibe when you do lower ABV beers to begin with, even if you are using a bit of brew sugar. At least I tend to get that. But really, is the hop profile here is citrus, not over-the-top craziness. You're talking about 4%. It's not a big beer to, that you'd expect that kind of crazy aromatics from, but it is all the citrus, all the grapefruit, all the orange, a nice pineapple in there. Done and done. It almost smells like, it almost comes off aromatically like an IPL because there's a cleanliness to it. There's a clean snappiness to it that kind of lends itself to me thinking it's a little bit lager. It's probably a low ABV speaking here, but it smells quite nice. Let's dive in. Cheers, y'all. Yeah, that's not too shabby. It's actually quite impactful for 4% because we're even going quite a bit deeper into that low ABV level than we usually go. You know, a lot of times I'm talking about my low ABV jams, 5.5%, 5%, even 4%. But you're starting to get down to 4%. It's really hard to pull out a lot of the traditional flavors and impact you would get from nice hazy IPA, and this is doing a really nice job of it. The mouthfeel, especially for the ABV in mind, is lush. It actually has a nice silky kind of mouthfeel to it. Obviously not turbid, but it gives you that soft pillowiness they're kind of alluding to with the name of the beer and the actual mouthfeel with a low ABV beer. Tip your hat to that. Always dig on that. The citrus is the name of the game here as far as what this beer is delivering. It's not super over the top. Again, 4%. We're not expecting to be hit in the face with 2x4 of hops here, but at 4%, it's quite nice. All the citrus are below us. Really, if I'm going to think about it, maybe a little bit of stone fruit in there. Really is very much citrus leaning for me. And that grain portion of the show that I was talking about, that was actually on aromatics. You're actually getting it in there in the taste, which, again, is kind of not what you typically expect from a hazy IPA. But I appreciate it when I do get it, especially when it's done well like this. And it's kind of a little bit more of expectation at a lower percent ABV kind of hazy. And it works out quite nice. Is this rewriting the book of what I think can be done at this ABV level? No, there's ones that I've had at this ABV level, or even smaller, a little bit better for me. I dig Falconer probably a little bit better from Zigmeister, 4.5, a little bit higher in ABV. Baby Genius from Bissell, again, probably, there's probably eking right outside of Mount Rushmore for me, but that's very hard. There's a lot of really good low ABV haze nowadays. And this is a really good representation of that. I'm really curious to go back and watch my previous review of this and see what I had to say. I just think it's a really done itty-bitty. And honestly, the 4%, I'm not talking 4 or 5, even though I referenced that in some of my Mount Rushmore talk, 4% below is very, very, very hard to find when it comes to hazy IPAs. And probably even harder to find a good one if you do find one, and this is one of the good ones. And that's a great thing. So yeah. Again, going into this, if you're trying to hold it to expectations, what you would get at 6-7%, it's just not going to get there. But it has a lot of the markers that you covet in those hazy IPAs, with the way the hop expresses itself. There's a little bit of fluttering, bittering, kind of balancing off that fruitiness. The sweetness is nice, but again, not even close to being overly sweet. I don't think you'd ever get that at this ABV level. And then that little touch of grain, I think, adds an extra component of this beer that props it up, makes it nice. I don't view it as a negative. A lot of people who are into hazy IPAs view grain profiles as a negative. Not this guy. And it works here, and it works really nicely. So there you go. A little bit of Pillow Hat from Hudson Valley Brewing. It's been a minute. Is it one of the better ones I've had as of late? Yes. Mount Rushmore status? It's worthy, let's put it that way. But in the grand scheme of things, there's a few I could start ripping off. Even if I go to like Petite Prince, things like that. Yeah, I guess Petite Prince would be. It's not a hazy IPA, but it's low ABV hoppy jam. It's very close to the top. Value and availability, like I said, it was $14 at that price point. I don't mind this, especially because the ABV, it's an anomaly with how low the ABV is and what you're getting. And leave you with, if you like what we like this. If you appreciate low ABV haze, nano haze, and you dig on those beers, I think you really dig this. Is it going to blow your doors off? I don't know. For you, for me, it's not like a wow thing here, but it's really good beer, and that's a good thing. Hudson Valley Brewing. Have you been in the brewery? I've been several times. I've been there since pre-COVID. Let's put it that way. So I got to get back. Have you been there? Have you had a bunch of other beers? Have you had this beer? Have you had it like at its impetus? Have you had it recently? All your thoughts down there. Review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of Hudson Valley Brewing right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers, all.